Hey y'all, thanks so much for clicking on this video. This is a little late night recording session because I didn't think I was going to record a video to this, but here we are. So I want to talk about or give a recap to Nikki's conversation that she had on Stationhead tonight with Ra Ali, which is one of her friends of It's On Site. And so usually Nikki goes to Stationhead to promote her latest single and then, just kind of chop it up with the Barbs as she usually does on Queen Radio or any other interview. So what I'm just gonna do is tell you guys like the cliff notes of what was said. You can find the full video on the channel already. But yeah, and then I'll also I want to say thank you to everyone who has been showing love to the past recent videos that I've been doing. I really appreciate all of you guys' support on that. And so that gave me a little bit of motivation to come and do this. Okay, so if you haven't yet, definitely subscribe to the channel and like this video, and let's get into it. So yeah, Nikki came to Stationhead and she talked about different things, sort of like the music industry as well as what to expect for this upcoming album. She also clocked the Barbs. I do have notes, but my notes is kind of ghetto because I be typing so fast because Nikki, try to keep up with her, and I'm really not like a good typer like that. But anyway, let's get into it. So they kind of started off the conversation with Ra having questions, and Nikki didn't really like those questions a lot. So one of the questions was like, what is Nikki's favorite season? Summer, winter, fall, spring, stuff like that. So then Nikki was like, she kind of like not beat around the bush, but I think one thing about Nikki is that she enjoys like playfulness in interviews at this point, at least these types of interviews, because she doesn't really like too many serious questions and conversations because she can do that anytime, right? With the biggest media personalities and journalists in the business. So when she comes around, she kind of just want to chill and have fun. But anyway, she talks about being born in the hot island of Trinidad, and when she came to the US, she was so excited to see snow, but it was dreadfully cold, and she compared the UK weather to that of New York because it rains a lot in the UK. She's like, she doesn't like when it's snowy and rainy and cold. So Ra gets spring, as her favorite season, trying to be funny, because it's a mix of both like hot and cold. And then Nikki was like, no, it's summer. And then she was like, do you want a biscuit? And it was a little bit funny seeing playful banter between friends. But Nikki did elaborate on this question and talked about when, because Ra lives in Miami, right? So Nikki talked about when she lived in Miami, calling it one of her favorite place in the US, which is something that I didn't know. So I found that interesting. She says living in Miami was a beautiful experience, especially when it comes to writing. Miami feels more like the West Indies in the Caribbean, and there's always a humidity feeling because it's so surrounded by so much water, whereas California is more of a dry heat thing. She says Miami felt more like an island. It's definitely one of my favorite places in the US, and I'd like to go spend a lot more time in Trinidad and a couple other islands that she likes, but she did not want to say those names, to keep her privacy. But I actually wish that she elaborated a little more, because I'm like that where I'm getting to a point and I don't elaborate on what my original point was. So I wish she elaborated more on how her writing process was different in Miami than in California. Anyway, if you were ever interested if Nikki prefers popcorn or nachos, she prefers nachos, but only if they're soggy, and it has to be moist and the cheese has to be soaked into it. Okay, so she said if I wanted, crunchy ass Doritos, I would have bought a motherfucking pack of that. Okay, um, now Ra also asked her, which I thought was a cool question. She said, when was the last time you had a dream? And Nikki said, this is a sarcastic Nikki, right? So don't take her too seriously. But she said, if you knew anything about how your brain works, you know that we as human beings, like where I'm from on Earth, we dream every night. The spirit takes our brain and says, let's go for a ride. You dream, and when you wake up, if you're blessed with a gift, there are times you remember your dreams. And if you don't remember the dream, it doesn't mean that you didn't dream. And so I thought that was super cool because, yeah, I dream, but I don't always remember my dreams, and then they come back to me at random parts in the day. So I want to know if you dream, and most importantly, do you remember your dreams? Because that's really tea right there. And I used to kind of keep a journal or a diary of the things that I dream about, but Bitch, I can't find that shit nowhere. That was like 10 years ago. Anyway, she started to take questions from the Barbs. And someone asked a good question as what Nicki would change on the song Last Time I Saw You if she could. And so, Nikki thought that that was a great question because she had thought about that the day before. And she said that she would like uh, add some like background singer things and ad lib or whatever. She's like, I'm always listening back and I always find something to fix. But don't get mistaken, I'm obsessed with the song and I don't really think I could have been obsessed with it much more. Now, okay, so somebody asked a question about the music video to Last Time I Saw You. And of course, Nicki had to go on a clocking session. She clocked the Barbs. And this is really the tea of the whole conversation was because, she has her way of clocking the Barbs and telling them to be patient and to trust her and her rollout and understanding that like you may think that as a stan or as someone who's very close to like just watching everything very closely, you may think, oh, we need a music video. We need all these things that all these other artists have. And Nicki is not concerned about that because she wants you to focus on one thing at a time. But also, we have to remember that as fans and not music industry professionals and executives, that at the end of the day, we really don't know what we're talking about because she said, I'm my own machine and I've been my own machine since before I had a label. Remember, Nicki manages herself from what we know, right? She says, my instinct has gotten me 15 years into my career and I'm number one almost everywhere, even on Spotify. And why do you think that is? Records are getting broken every day. People pay to learn this, to learn this stuff. She says they observe and watch. If the Barbs listen, they wouldn't be talking so much because loose lips sink ships. It's not about your opinions. It's about the fact that you know effing nothing. You know nothing about what you're talking about. And you're talking to someone who knows a lot. And Nicki admitted that I'm not an expert. I don't know everything, but I do know a lot. I've been doing this for more than 15 years. And so she went on to talk about like, okay, here it is. She went on to say like, people pay to find out what was discussed, right? People pay in here, right? In our conversations, people pay to have meetings to discuss me and the Barbs. And I found it so interesting. She said people pick like secret meetings to discuss Nicki Minaj, her marketing strategy, her business operations, and how they can use the Barbs, infiltrate the Barbs, and use the Barbs for whatever, because we know that Nicki owns 99.99999 share of the female rap market. So, and she went on to talk a little bit about the album, because someone I think asked something about tour. She said to break down the album, the gaggery of the album on tour, you're gonna have to break down the gaggery on the album, and that's why the industry is calling my phone. She says the album is going to do what needs to be done. It's every friend of mine, every core friend of mine, it's going to be their favorite Nicki Minaj album to date. She says, I can say that because I have no doubt in my mind that the music that I'm creating is just undeniable. It's not the type of album where you can say it's a hype. That's why the queen holds control, like the gamers, calling back to her line on Princess Diana with Ice Spice. And so everybody knows, and now they're trying to play catch up. She's like, I know my fans are gonna love and cherish it. It's not a regular album. She says, I'm gonna be able to tell y'all everything because when the queen comes to town, everybody gets up and gets that ass to work. They know the difference, once again, from Princess Diana. That's why I can be this cocky. That's and yeah. Um so someone asked another interesting question. Can we expect you, because Nicki started talking about like having other songs written and stuff like that that are not necessarily for her. So then they were like, well, you have such a good ear for music, can we expect you to produce for other artists? And she says, yeah, like I've written whole songs or just a hook and a verse, but that doesn't suit me. And she says, I've done this in both rap and singing. And I was thinking that I want to write an all singer album with her favorite singers. So yeah, I think that those were like the main talking points that I found interesting. One thing that I would love to see Nicki elaborate on, I'm always very, very interested in anything that I can grasp on from the behind the scenes in the music business. And Nicki has said with the release of Last Time I Saw You that people are approaching her differently, and so, now like everybody wants to work with her, everybody wants to whatever. So I'm just really interested and I can't wait for Nicki to elaborate on this more. And she says that when the album is out, I'm going to tell y'all everything. So I really hope that that reigns true. But yeah, I'm going to stop it here. But thanks so much, guys, for watching this and staying until the end. I really appreciate it. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.